Maflin. Best of 19 now, so 2 sessions of snooker to look forward to. Yesterday we had an upset. Jamie Clark, of course, knocking out the highest ranked player in the qualifiers, world number 17, Joe Perry. Finished off very well, did Clark, and no upset in the evening. Graham Dott, 3 times finalist, 2006 world champion. He beat David Gray 6-0, so Dott will play tomorrow. As I say, half the draw today, half tomorrow. It's now over 2 sessions. These were the results yesterday. Of course, Ken Doherty relegated from the tour, barring any wild cards. Sonny Akani still going strong. Jordan Brown, another player looking for a Crucible debut, as indeed is Ian Burns. And the likes of Ryan Day there, Stuart Carrington, Tom Ford played there before. All successful. And then in the evening, of course, Dot 6-0. Tepchira Nu, no surprise really, he was the first one off. 6-1 over Dominic Dale. Good recovery from Martin Gould and indeed Matthew Stevens, who was trailing at the interval. Ricky Walden also through, Sam Baird, and Liam Highfield and Jack Jones also making it through yesterday. So, in fact, no, Anthony McGill won that match, didn't he? So I think that score was wrong. Anyway, these are the matches today. Mathew Selt, Kurt Maflin will be our main match. Fergal O'Brien, Liang Wenbo on the Eurosport player. Martin O'Donnell, Elliot Slesser, whoever wins that will make their Crucible debut guaranteed. There's some other potential debutants there, Ersan Bakker, Ed Sharaf, Louis Heathcote, Ashley Carty. So a big day for all these players. The Crucible now within touching distance. Whoever comes through today will be in the draw on Wednesday morning. And then, of course, the second round of Judgement Day will be tomorrow with the last 8 matches.
Okay. Well, both gentlemen have a good game. The first frame, Mathew Selt to break.
Well, it's suddenly got very serious, this world qualifying event, because we're down to the last round. The first part of Judgement Day. 8 matches today, 8 tomorrow. Mathew Selt, Kurt Maflin are up on the main table here. They'll play 9 frames this afternoon, a possible 10 this evening. They've both played at the Crucible before, Mathew Selt in 2013 and 2015, and Maflin also 2015. A little bit more breathing space today with the longer match, but Neil, a lot more pressure as well, because this is it. This is to get to the Crucible.
Yeah, big game for obviously reasons, and to get to this longer 2-session match, I think, was the first objective, and now it's just to get through it. Difficult game to call, isn't it, these two? Maflin, a small favourite with the sponsors, but not much. Yes, of the 16 players on show today, 10 of them have played there before, at the Crucible that is. I noticed that 12 of tomorrow's 16 have played at the Crucible before as well, so we are going to get a couple of newcomers because some of them are drawn against each other.
One.
So the first red potted by Mathew Selt, who had a good result the other day in his previous round. A lot of suggestions that his first round match was difficult.
8.
Against Alan Taylor, who'd been playing so well. Made a 1-4-5 break along the way. He'd already qualified by the tournament that was played here the day before the actual qualifier started. That's for a 2-year card. But anyway, bottom line is going on cold. Selt won the first 5 and eventually won a little closer, but he got through.
Yeah, of course he is a ranking event winner, although he wasn't able to defend the Indian Open title. It hasn't been held this season. But that was a real feather in his cap to win a tournament after many years of trying. Very confident character, I think, Mathew Selt, but you know, there's huge pressure. This round really is a big round for these players, because you either end your season at the Crucible still with a chance to win the $500,000 first prize, or you have to watch it on television. Eight tables. We'll keep you in touch with the other scores. A reminder on the Eurosport player, Liang Wenbo against Fergal O'Brien.
Okay. 23.
A little straight, but there is that red sticking out that he can land on at mid-range.
Should say, by the way, the draw is being made on Wednesday when we've got the 32 players.
29.
It'll be 11 o'clock. You can watch it on the Eurosport website, eurosport.com. It'll be live on there. 11 o'clock on Wednesday. We'll find out who's playing who at the Crucible.
Nothing.
Well, that nearly stayed out. He stayed down on the shot, but in the end the ball just dropped in. Table's been recovered. And maybe had they not been, that would have stayed out. That didn't look in, seeing it from the low angle. Yeah, they've all been refurbed overnight for this round of snooker. Well, it's okay, in fact, even though the cue ball's gone to the side cushion, the red to the middle, he can just roll in, play out for the blue. Good start, this.
Yeah, well, obviously got a slight problem with the graphic, but Selt going along nicely.
38.
To 38 the break. You just want to start well in any match, don't you? There's more time today, it's best of 19. But even so, you want to settle in, particularly this match of all matches. It's one of the, probably is the most nerve-wracking match of the year for these players who find themselves in the qualifiers.
Well, at first, you wonder if he's on anything. He might be on the red at the bottom of the bunch, but he's very close to that other red. Scullion, just seeing if it's touching ball. And if he's not on there, he's a touch unlucky, I think. I can only assume touching ball was the call there. Didn't hear him call it, but I'm sure Leo did. He's thinking of playing away.
Mathew Selt, 43.
So 43, but lost position. Kurt Maflin 43rd in the world rankings. Gave Mark Selby a good game, didn't he, in 2015? It went to a decider. Of course, that was day one. Selby coming back with the Crucible curse and all the rest of it. Got through, but Maflin put him under it. He won 5 frames in a row in the second session.
One.
It's a good pop, that. Now, got the brown to the middle if he wants it. He may, now that he's got a few lead, he's not a certainty to play it. Different mindset, I think, when you're in front or behind in a frame. You see him just looking up at the scores. You see it's playing a part in this next shot. It's quite difficult if it goes behind the yellow to snooker on all balls, including that one on the right cushion. Might just play cushion first into it, this, just touching into it slowly, it's yellow. No,
Mathew Selt, 1.
not quite done the job.
Yeah, some interesting matches today. I think one that leaps out because it's youth v experience. Louis Heathcote, of course, beat Ali Carter taking on Alan McManus, 3 times a semi-finalist at the Crucible. A clash of styles there. And as I mentioned earlier, there is one debutant guarantee because Martin O'Donnell's playing Elliot Slessor. All these matches still in the first frames.
No, there's not an easy out here, just a thin off this red, but he's got to ensure that he doesn't leave anything on the left side of the table. Playing off the side of the bunch, that right-hand red is in the way a little bit. If he hits it thin, he might play it a little thicker around the angles. Well, it is in the way. It's a bad shot to hit that red. I mentioned it could have been in the way, but I expected him to negotiate that problem better than he did.
One.
Maflin happy to still be here. If he wasn't, he'd be back commentating for Norwegian Eurosport. I'm sure we're following this with great interest today.
Yes, he's highly rated as a player. I know that because he spends a lot of time in London, which is of course where he's originally from, but when he practices in the UK, all I hear is what a good player he is and practices and everything, but it helps if you can play the game, and he definitely fits the bill. Attacking player. Probably should have done more actually than he has. Slight nearly man, but the ability is there. You wouldn't call anyone that unless they thought they were better than their performances, you know.
Well, I noticed it's his birthday during the Crucible, so he has a chance to get in the Chris Downer's Crucible Almanac as playing on his birthday. Of course, never would have thought that would happen, being born in August.
Now, the other one who might get on it is Sean Murphy, of course. His birthday is during the championship in its new slot. A strange shot that. I can't believe he played into the pink. He must have played to miss it and get on that bottom red. That's a good shot, though. That is a good shot. He's certainly played to screw into the 2 reds on that shot.
$90. 20.
Now the 2 red could be thought of as a plant into the left corner. A little gap between them. plant is how he's going to go about things. You need the cue ball somewhere in a line down the left side of the table with the two reds. I think to make it easier.
28.
Yeah, I don't think if the cue ball was over on the right of the table where it is now, it's an easy plant, but if you can get somewhere near where the left-hand red is, get a clearer path in towards the two reds. He's played to move them. Didn't have to do that if he thought the plant was on. Now he's got a difficult shot.
34.
Took a risk there, but it hasn't necessarily paid off. As you can see, it's not an easy shot by any means. Down the cushion into the right corner.
Got Maflin, 34.
Well, this frame may set the pattern for the whole day. It's close, it's tight, every point being fought for. Alexander Ursenbacher was so impressive against Gary Wilson the other day. He's won the first frame against Andrew Higginson. Anthony Hamilton has won the first against Scott Donaldson. A lot of people certainly fancy that one to be a tightly contested affair. Anthony Hamilton not played at the Crucible for a while actually, 2008, so 12 years since he's played there.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's been that long for him. I noticed you mentioned Ursenbacher, of course he's not played there. Higginson's not played there since 2012, so as sweet as it would be for a newcomer, I guess it's nice to go back there after all that time as well. That would mean a lot.
Yeah, the Crucible mystique, it grows if anything, doesn't it? And I said yesterday, you know, the word iconic is massively overused in sport, but it really is an iconic venue. Everyone understands what it means when you say the Crucible. Snooker fans all around the world, never been there, understand what it means, and the players certainly understand it.
We played the cross double there, but with a view for the cue ball to come in behind the black. Now, does he think that he can go for the red at this side of the brown and take the cue ball through the gap? The cue ball's coming a little close to the other red, though, I think. The red behind the green. Goodness me, that is an outrageous fluke. He hit it so badly.
Wow, well that's the other little thing you might need today, a bit of luck at the right time.
It may not end up a very significant fluke, but, I mean...
The fact he's come off the brown as well and flicked it in.
Yeah.
The significance is he could have left that red on. Albeit it's a tight table at the moment.
Got Maflin, 1.
Looking at the possibility of cushion first, and if he hits it half ball, he might get the cue ball in behind the yellow. I think that's what Matt Selt is looking at. Changed his mind. Certainly the table has been playing quick all week. I've heard 2 or 3 players on the bus back saying that they couldn't believe how fast this table was.
Yeah, that bus back can be awkward, can't it? Because the person who's lost the match is on the bus and sit as far away as possible from the guys beating them.
Well, you want to just hide away, but there's no alternative way of getting back than on the bus, so yeah, it's not much fun.
And then I noticed it happened again last night. We were just having a drink, and because the players, when they lose, they have to go to their rooms to get their things, and then they sort of come through the bar with their luggage. It's like a sort of walk of shame, and you want to avoid eye contact. No one wants to sort of intrude on private grief.
No, well, the thing with snooker is, you know what it's like to lose, and you have to be pretty insensitive to say anything to somebody that's lost. They just want to be left alone. If they want to speak, then it's time to speak to them. Worse things happen in the world, but all I know is that it hurts, especially at this tournament. Get knocked out. It's a terrible shot, but he's got away with it. He's hit a couple of bad safety shots, Selt. In fact, they both have.
Table 2, Liang Wenbo's won the first frame against Fergal O'Brien. Martin O'Donnell is going to win the first against Elliot Slessor. McManus 1-0 up on Louis Heathcote. Ashley Carty, another potential debutant. He's 1-0 up on the Milkman, Robert Milkins. Of course, beat Jimmy White last round.
Here's a question for you, Dave. Anyone out there might want to just join in. Which is the last match to finish tonight?
Well, funnily enough, I was discussing that earlier.
Okay.
With a couple of people backstage, and Hamilton Donaldson had the ring of it, but we'll see. It's not necessarily the case.
I'm going to go with Slessor O'Donnell. I've got a chance, haven't I, with that one, would you say?
Yeah, well, 2 debutants, potentially, so yeah.
Massive game for them both.
You could see that getting very edgy later.
4147. Right. What's yours, Dave?
At Dave Hendon.
At Dave Hendon, yeah, Twitter. Let us know what you think. Who's going to finish first, who's going to finish last? First is not quite so easy. I know that Tep Chai is playing tomorrow, so I'll have him for first. Yeah, let us know where you're watching from. It's a bit of a slow point in this frame. It's nice to just get a lot of people phoning in from, tweeting in from Australia yesterday, watching down under. That's great, actually, really good. And I hope you've enjoyed the qualifiers. A real insight into what it's like. Somebody actually messaged me from Uganda. I mean, I'm going to take their word they're in Uganda, but that was mentioned.
Well, it's available to watch on various platforms all around the world, this qualifying, as indeed the World Championship proper, as it were. The final stages will be. And it's great that it's such a global appeal for our biggest event, which of course may not have been on this year. It's terrific that it's even on, and good that people are enjoying it wherever they're watching. Well, a chance here for Selt. It's already been quite edgy though, but a definite chance. Green safe, as it stands. That's why I think I was looking at the scoreboard to try and work out whether he would need the green. Still got a chance.
Yes, he started the frame so well. I think he's not quite recovered from going into the bunch from the blue and finishing touching ball and the break ended. I think that was a little unfortunate.
Yeah, and that shot as well, when he potted the single red and tried to get behind the yellow. He was trying not to move it too far away from the cushion, I think, but he didn't get in behind it. That was a chance to really sort of seize control of this frame. Oh dear. Well, get used to it, I think, because it's going to be a nervy day, and already this frame is providing evidence of that.
Interesting here, because Mathew Selt will, of course, need the green ball. This was You would have thought perhaps that the red was in the way of that happening. I don't know whether he might have played to move the green there. Enough might not have crossed his mind. But I would like to know how he's going to get a plan to get the green in play. Oh, goodness me, he's missed the red. Oh, that's terrible. I mean, you can do all the calculating of what's going to happen all you like, but the red basically on the brown spot and in hand, you can't miss the red. That's a dire shot, unfortunately. That's thinking a little bit too deeply. And he looks fed up about it, understandably. I don't think that he even considered missing the red. His mind was elsewhere.
One. Six.
Yes, it's a very nervy frame, isn't it now? It really is. It's almost like a decider. It's frame one.
Yeah, well, you asked people to say what were the last match off, and already David Fox has said this will be the last one. 10-9 Maflin at 12:30 a.m.
Well, that's not impossible.
Seven minutes already this frame. It feels like we're sort of deep into the final session, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like a first frame.
Well, he started so promisingly, Selt, didn't he? You know, the break he made just looked very organised and controlled, and now, for some reason, he's played a very poor second half of this frame. At the moment, Kurt Maflin keeps going it off. All good fun, especially when you're neutral and you're not trying to get to the crucible.
Good fun when you're watching, maybe, not when you're playing.
No, absolutely. It can be horrible. I must say I never really enjoyed playing in this round in my playing days very much at all, when I dropped out of the 16. It was never what I sort of... The feeling of winning and getting back to the crucible is a great feeling, but turning up on the day... And it used to be that the last round was played separately. They'd play down to the last qualifying round previously, and then we'd be up in Telford a lot of the time for qualifiers, the final round. And it was nobody was like being on that bus. No one was smiling. No one was having fun. But when you won, you know, it was a great feeling. Of course, losing was horrible. Season over. Anyway, this frame's not over. Maflin, he's got a chance of playing the double here. He might think it's worth it. It's not the most difficult double you'll ever see. It's slightly doubling it back to the left middle. Yeah, I'm not surprised he got it. He's still got the problem though, which is quite a big problem of having to pot the pink, but he might only need the pink. The key to it won't be necessarily needing the black. Needs to be short, and that looks absolutely perfect from blue to pink. Now, this holds up. It's gone a bit far now. He'd like to be able to roll it in, and had he missed it, he could have used the black as cover, but I think he's gone too far now. He's going to have to pot it and not think about the things that could go wrong. So, first big shot really. Well, that was never going to drop in. It was never going to drop in. It was not particularly close. Played slowly, but not near enough.
Well, if every frame's like this today, I'm going to have to send that for new fingernails because they're going to be bitten to the quick. Selt needs pink and black.
Six.
Frame's been just over half an hour. Selt got the early lead. It got very edgy, didn't it, on the colours? He needs the black to secure it. And he'd be relieved. What a struggle that was. I'm sure this match will settle down. It's just an illustration of what a big deal this final round of qualifying is. Maflin had his chance, left the pink in the jaws. Mathew Selt leads 1-0. Have a club. And he's proudly representing Norway now.
Going to hurt him to have lost that frame though, Dave, isn't it? The way he did. He played the pink right, I think, slowly. And been a bit of an in and out season, 14 centuries. It's kind of not the biggest guide of anything, but actually he's a better scorer than that. But it's just off on the wrong foot, losing that frame in that way, having looked like he was going to win it.
Well, off on the right foot is Alexander Ursenbacher, 2-0 up already against Andrew Higginson. He's every right to be confident after his performance against Gary Wilson the other day. Alan McManus about to go 2-0 up on Louis Heathcote. This was the pink. You saw it just catch the cushion. And, you know, that shouldn't have dropped, and it didn't. But a lot of effort was put into that frame from him without
the second frame
ultimately any reward.
Maflin to do.
Had a few predictions of first and last matches. Greg Batten says he's watching from home while working. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, apart from all our viewers. The last match to finish will be Noppon Sankham against Eden Sharaf. Hope my good friend Sam Baird qualifies, as his tour place is in jeopardy. Of course, that is another issue for some players here, tour survival. Fergal O'Brien amongst the players in the mix for that. And there'll be some players already knocked out, of course, who are in the mix, who can't now affect their positions, are hoping for results to go their way. So it's a nervy time even for players not playing. Fergal's been chosen by a few people as well as the last off. Of course, he played famously that 2-hour plus frame against Dave Gilbert in this very round a couple of years back. Got a viewer as well in Duluth, Minnesota, Jarrow Warman. So out in America even we've got viewers, which is great to hear. Selt just surveying the damage here, and it's pretty hefty.
It really is, because the red over the middle and then the black is free and number of red sticking out, so a good chance now, and he's got to put out of his mind what happened in frame one.
Yeah, his natural game is scoring, Maflin. That's his best side of his game, I think.
6,
He's made 2 147s in professional competition.
7,
Of course, 10 years ago now, he had that horrible car crash. Had to have a metal plate inserted into his shoulder. Career could have been over, but thankfully he's kept going. Did drop off the circuit the following year, maybe not surprisingly, but got back onto the Q school.
15,
He's been in 3 ranking event semi-finals. The most recent was at the start of this season, about a year ago now, because of course it's been a long season. Lost 5-4 there to Mark Joyce in Riga.
Yes, that was a
22.
tournament which threw up a few shocks, and also, like you say, it seems a long time ago, there was a plane which never took off, and a lot of players, including the defending champion, Neil Robertson, never even made it there. So
23.
the tournament, if you like, cut up a little bit with regards to who was in it. Yan Bingtao beat Mark Joyce in the final. It was an opportunity that sprung out from nowhere for many players. Well, he just slid off the reds there. I don't think, looking at the reds, you could have expected that.
Okay.
Often you can. A bit of early frustration, I think, for Kurt Maflin. A little wry grin on his face. I'm sure he's just feeling a little annoyed about the way the first frame and a bit's gone. Here's another chance. 1 from 4 at long range, according to the stats. And that's much better. Good shot. With shot to go into the bunch off the black with reds below it. I don't think he'll play it firmly. Well, an extended spider or swan neck or something
38,
that can get him over the top of the bunch, I think, if he plays the bottom red, that is. Maybe the bottom red is natural to go into the black, which wouldn't help him. Is that a plant? If that's turned up from nowhere, then that's a real result. It looks fairly close to being lined up to the middle. You're not right behind it to know. I think it's to the near jaw, but just in. He played it up to get on the blue. I think it could have been one of those where there was a gap between the 2 balls, which was, didn't know whether it was a squeeze or a conventional plant. So it might be 1-0 up, but he doesn't look all that more comfortable than Maflin out there.
One. Eight. 9.
He doesn't want any more problems in this frame from here, I don't think. He'll be looking to get this frame 1. No twists like there were in frame 1.
17.
Moves the ball around very nicely. Little screw shot was very well played there onto the red.
24. $25. $32.
So there's still enough on the table. 75 is on, so this red is the one he needs. It's a good shot, and you'll feel a little bit better now. Frame 1 can be erased from the memory the way that he should have won it, but failed to do so with that pink.
$36. $37. $43. $44.
Battle joined then, and Selt did have that chance after Maflin failed to make the plant.
$51. $52.
You can make a century. I don't think it'll be hugely on his mind, but
58.
you'd need a pink and a black with the last two reds. That won't be easy. Well, certainly not with the bullseye anyway.
Well, the main thing, I guess,
Maflin, 58.
is to win your first frame. He's done that with that run of 58, building on his earlier contributions. So Kurt Maflin pretty swiftly wraps up that frame, just 10 minutes after the 31-minute opener. And that means we're all square. Remember, it's first to 10 who will qualify for the Crucible. We're down to the wire, and it's currently one each. Phase underway on Friday, but of course we need to get 16 qualifiers there first to play the top 16. Kurt Maflin has levelled up at one each here with Mathew Selt. Break of 58 helped him out there in frame 2.
The third frame, Mathew Selt today.
9 frames in the opening session, possible 10 this evening, starting at 7 o'clock. Of course, it will be live here on Eurosport this evening. Question is, what time will it finish? We had an interesting message actually on Twitter from Hayden Bateman. He said, just wondering, is there a cut-off point for the qualifying rounds? Could the games hypothetically go on until the early hours, 4 or 5 a.m? Could it happen according to the rules? Well, absolutely it could. The matches end when they end. Of course, at the Crucible, we once had a finish at 9 minutes to 4. The only problem here is, I happen to know the bus driver, he's booked until 2 in the morning, which you'd think would be plenty of time. But if there's a really long match, I'm not sure what happens then. I suppose the players have to, I don't know, hitch their way back to the hotel. I'm not sure. But you often get one match that really does develop into a real grind. So we'll see if that's today or tomorrow. But yeah, they just play till it's over.
I don't know what the alternative to that could be. What else could they do? They can't just say, well, whoever's in front at 1 a.m. before the last bus leaves wins. I don't think it'll come down to that.
Kevin McAllister's watching Canvey Island, Essex, enjoying the coverage. And we have a viewer as well in Florence in Italy, who says the closest thing to an Italian professional that Snooker has is Alexander Ersenbacher, so I'm hoping he will qualify. Of course, he's from Switzerland. That would be a new nation to be represented at the Theatre of Dreams.
Well, certainly a tempter here for Selt. I think possibly all three of those reds go. Certainly some of them will. I don't know, he just looks a little bit like he's been put on the back foot since that first frame. I know he ended up winning it, but he's been fairly subdued since halfway through the first frame. It'd make him feel better if he could knock in a long one, I think, and get started. He's struggling. I'm not saying it was easy, but I think at his best he would knock that in.
Yeah, he didn't look comfortable in the end of that opening frame, and although he sort of fell over the line, just relieved more than anything. Don't think he's quite settled yet. I mentioned Urson back up, by the way. He's already 3-0 up against Andrew Higginson, so great start for him. And he'd be a very exciting player, I think, to qualify if he got there.
The nerves continue in this match. Yes, of course, it'd be another nationality to add to the list of players who have played at the Crucible, wouldn't it? A Swiss player, never been one before.
No, there have been 18 nations represented at the Crucible so far, including, of course, Norway through Kurt Maflin.
Another shot miss. They've both missed plenty, haven't they, in this first two frames? Don't know if the red goes by the black from there.
One.
Yeah, they both did well to come through the last round, as Neil mentioned. Selt beat an inform Alan Taylor, and Maflin was 5-3 down to Joe O'Connor, 1-6-5.
Six. Seven.
Well, just skirting around the issue really, because he knows he's got to get into the bunch at some point. Maybe an angle on the blue next time after the red near the middle pocket to get the pack of reds open. Well, this leads up to the big shot that will follow. Now it's just a question of seeing what he can do. The pink is a little bit away from the reds, which is not a help when you're going in from the blue, because hit the pink half ball, you can miss the reds altogether. So he might look at an alternative way of playing this.
13.
Now, the pink pot's all very well, but which red follows it? Does he have an angle to power through the bunch? Keeple's gone down far enough. No, it was not a good shot to finish there. I don't quite know how he hasn't ended up going into the pack here. He had so many chances to get on the blue to do it.
Thank you. 19.
That's not a very good contribution from there, not to even get a chance to get the reds open. He'll be disappointed with that.
There's no doubt he still looks edgy, and I think he will settle down because it's a long match. I think that is the help today. It's best of 19, but despite winning the first frame, yet to settle, I think. And even though Maflin made that half century in the last frame, he's already made mistakes in this one.
Yeah, it takes a while to get settled into a match. Sometimes it's so important that you can, for a little while, you just freeze up a little bit. You think, well, you know, I want to do so well here, but you forget to just play.
Well,
A little bit too thin. Just while they put this back, assuming they will. James in Rainy York has got in contact. What's the most number of nations represented at an individual final stages of a World Championship? Well, we have the Crucible Almanac, thanks to Chris Downer, that has this information. 1992, there were 11 nations represented.
Sure.
So that's the most. More recently, there were 10 in 2017, 9 last year. Of course, we're already guaranteed 6 at the Crucible with the top 16 seeds.
Yeah, I mean, the two things on the nationalities, I think if you're looking at the amount of different nationalities that's been represented, you might forget Iceland. I always think that's the tricky one because Christian Helgeson played once, didn't he? But the other thing, which is I think sad in snooker, is that there's no hint of a Canadian anymore. I don't even think one played in any of the qualifiers. You think of all the great Canadian players there were. Some not so good Canadian players, but there were at least players on the tour from that part of the world. I'm afraid the game is completely finished in there with regards to the players coming through. I think there's still interest in the game there, but it's just a shame.
Been 10 Canadians have played there. There have been 5 matches between Canadians, if we want to get really dark about it. But yeah, you're right, none this year, unfortunately.
I mean, without looking in the almanac, I should think Robidoux was the last to play there. Can't think of too many since then that might have appeared at the Crucible. I've got one in front of me as well, but I haven't opened it, basically.
No, yeah, he would have been. Of course, he was a semi-finalist the year Ken won, 97.
Yes.
40 years since Cliff Thorburn's victory in 1980.
And the other thing that I should remember, which is a bit of a controversial one, was the match where he played Ronnie, and because he wasn't very happy that Ronnie was playing all those left-handed shots, and I think Elaine might have got that wrong, and people thought, you know, he had no sense of humour. Elaine was one of the nicest and funniest guys you could ever wish to meet. It was just a bit of a misunderstanding that. And those two made up after a little while. It's hard to fall out with Elaine Robidoux. He's an absolute diamond.
He was 60 this week, Elaine.
Yeah, a great guy.
Yeah, all these players have graced the Crucible stage. 213 players have played there over the last 43 years, and as I say, we're guaranteed a couple of debutants this year.
Good shot that from Maflin, that safety.
One man who wouldn't be a debutant, of course, Alan McManus. He's very much a veteran. He's 3-0 up though on Louis Heathcote, trying to get there for the first time.
Well, Alan just keeps coming back for more, doesn't he? Incredible, actually. Prepares well for his matches. I mean, very well. I always have a chat with Alan, as many people would know, I'm pals with him, but on the bus I wouldn't dare to speak to him on the way in. He was just unapproachable. And that's how it should be, I guess. They're here to do a job.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, depending on timings, I guess, do players go back to the hotel between sessions? There might not be time for that. Got to be said, because of the restrictive environment, there's not a lot to do here really. There are practice tables, but other than that, you're just sort of hanging around.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not practicing or you're not playing, then you, as a player, do not want to be here, because it's not a nice place. There is, as you say, absolutely nothing else to do. It's back to the hotel, I think. Obviously, the whole English Institute of Sport is closed down. It's basically just the snooker that's open. All the rest of it's all closed and has been for a while. Just on a, obviously, we know why this event is being played as it is. It's a global pandemic, which everyone knows about. But I can tell you that Mathew Selt and family have actually contracted coronavirus early in March. Had all the tests. It was official that he had it. So there's 1 or 2 breathing difficulties, and he was saying that a member of his family still has 1 or 2 other issues, but hopefully they're all doing okay. That's a very fine safety shot. It really is, and he's put Maflin in just a little bit of trouble here. I think there is a way back to bolt, but not a simple one. Mind a wobble in the jaws here. That's always handy. Slightly overhit them, you want the ball to just rattle.
Had a tweet from Paul Wilson it seems to be raining everywhere in the UK at the moment. Rainy Newton Aycliffe. He said he's hoping the legend Ken Doherty gets a wild card. Fantastic ambassador and gentleman. Of course, Ken has fallen out the top 64. The option is there for World Snooker Tour to give him one. I think that he would accept it if offered, but it's got to be offered. I don't think it'd be like sort of Alan Partridge going to beg for a second series, will he? He'll wait for them to come to him.
Speaking of Canadian players, Russ Mooney says, as a Canadian, I agree, it's a shame we don't have any on the Pro Tour. Sadly, there looks like no future prospects either, which is a great shame. That might change, of course, you never know. And the mention of Stuart Crowther, who's watching from Hong Kong. Great to hear Mark King is doing well, he says. Jeffrey Park says, what is the latest match that you ever played in? I don't know.
Been so many.
Maybe. Yeah. Meanwhile, Mathew Selt is not delighted to be playing his next shot from over the top of the brown. I'm sure it's after midnight, but I don't know exactly when. I don't think I was ever involved in any of those 2 o'clock in the morning jobs at the Crucible with the Griff or anybody. Usual suspects. I think I got roped into anything like that. I think I played a qualifier against Chris Small, which went to the last frame this round, and that was small hours perhaps. It was late, yeah. It took a long time.
Have another tweet from a gentleman in Pakistan, Amir, who was asking, will Ronnie O'Sullivan play if spectators are allowed? Well, he said he will. He's a bit doubtful. I think quite a few people are, in fairness, about allowing in spectators, but I must say the restrictions and the protocols are pretty strict. But he is playing. He said he's playing. Of course, Ronnie, back in December at the Scottish Open, was... Maybe he saw all this coming, because he wasn't shaking hands, was he? He was all fist bumps, and at the time people were sort of taking the mickey out of him, but maybe he was onto something. So this frame yet to really catch fire. Mathew Selt's pot success now down just under 67%. So despite being 1-all, it just shows you he has struggled.
One.
Of course, he'd love to play the pink, get it back on its own spot. Well, I don't know what he's looking at. It absolutely flies. I think if he looks at it from the back view, he'd realise that you could get a bus through there.
Well, we've got a bus outside, waiting to take the players back.
I don't know what, he may have been looking at something else, but that absolutely 100% goes, and it goes easily. Yellow's not in the way at all. I always think that, I've said this before, but the view behind the pocket, the camera view that we get, is actually a better view if you're a player than looking into the pocket, looking behind the pocket. You can tell easier, in my view. Got a better chance to work out what goes and what doesn't. I don't know why all players don't do that.
Andrew Higginson's pulled one back against Ursenbacher, so 3-1 to Ursenbacher, the first match to the interval. And the MOD, Martin O'Donnell, 2-0 up on Elliot Slessor. Remember, both of those two yet to play at the Crucible.
Cut Maflin, 7.
Yes, there's sure to be a couple of debutants, aren't there, as you mentioned, because Sonia Carney playing tomorrow against Jamie Clark, and neither of those ever played there before.
Yes, Sonia Carney, the easiest man to track down. Yeah, if you want to find him, he'll be on the practice table. Unless he's playing. That's the only time he won't be on it.
Yeah, that's the problem. The matches actually get in the way of the practice, don't they? Sometimes, because he can't be on the practice table, he's on the match table.
Yeah, he's a terrific young prospect, isn't he, from Thailand? Match time just coming up to an hour. Second frame is actually only 10 minutes. This frame, as I say, yet to really get going. It's nicely done from Selt.
1. No. Mathew Selt, 1. Yeah.
Maflin just allowing Leo Skillen to just check the line there in case he has to go back.
Wow, that is a fantastic shot.
1.
That might just blow away the cobwebs because he played that well. Q went up in the air.
Hurricane Selt there, isn't it?
That was brilliant, wasn't it? Just the cue did sort of lift up after he played it. Oh, it was tremendous.
Yeah, I think Matt Selt is, you know, you talk to him, he always seems very confident, but you know, when you get out there playing, all that tension is there. It's hard to just push it to one side, and hard to just put to one side as well what it all means to get to the Crucible.
Mathew Selt, 1.
Just on that business about debutants, as I say, we've got a minimum of 2 that are certainties, because there's 2 matches concerning players who have not played at the Crucible. There were 7, according to the Almanac, last year. There's only 1 in 2016. Most of them have been his 9. It's happened a couple of times. Played it very well, didn't he? Because at first it didn't seem like the red was on, and also he held it nicely. Just seems to have woken up a little bit, Selt, after a quiet frame and a half.
Yeah, I mean, it's already been 24 minutes, this frame. It's kind of just feels like it's getting going now. Looks like he can't see enough of the red to pot it.
Eight. Fourteen.
Oh dear, miscue.
Mathew Selt, 14.
It's horrible, horrible feeling, horrible sound. I don't think he was doing a great deal there. I mean, to miscue on that, I mean, it's not that he's trying to screw back that into the table. Surprised.
One.
The other thing about when you miscue, you worry that you look at your tip and this big chunk has been taken out of it. I don't think that's happened here.
It's always a bit embarrassing, isn't it? The sort of thing you might see in snooker clubs, but when it's a top professional doing it, they always return to their seat a bit sheepish.
Eight.
When he's overhit, that's not a good shot either.
14. $15.
Hard to see how far into the winning the frame he can go here. He could win it, but of course he'll have to move the red and the black and the red below it, I think.
$21. $22.
Yes, didn't get the full cannon to the red, so a little sigh and it's back to safety. Two points in the frame, still a bit of mileage in it, I would suggest, after 28 minutes. Still 3 reds left.
Blue ball. That Maflin, 22.
This could be a tactical frame, I think, now where the balls are.
Question here from Nicholas Smith. Has there ever been a World Championship where all the 16 seeds have gone through to the second round? Well, of course, in the early years, it was slightly different because some players were seeded through the last 16, but in terms of, I think it's 982, which is the current format, the answer is no, there hasn't been. Just looking down in the almanac, there was a year, 983 and 1993, where only 1 seed lost. So they got close, 15 got through. But never been a clean sweep, and you kind of think there won't be again this year. It's asking a lot for all the top 16 to win all their matches in the first round. With the hungry qualifiers coming through, of course, so close to the event. I think in 93 the qualifiers there were in the September, so it had been a long, long time. And the players who qualified weren't necessarily still in form, whereas we know this year they will be, because of course it starts on Friday.
Interestingly, in 83, the seed that lost was Jimmy White. Lost to his best pal, Tony Mio. And in 93, someone we've spoken about already, Alain Robidoux, was beaten. That was probably when he had problems with his cue, wasn't it? When somebody chopped his cue into a load of pieces, and he had to get another one, and he could hardly win a match. He lost to Doug Mountjoy that year. All other seeds won.
One.
That's not bad at all. The angle is lovely to certainly move the reds here. Maybe bring them both into play if possible. Even 2 reds and 2 blacks, he will need the green. He'll only be 24 in front in putting these with blacks and the yellow. So the frame's not over. Can't do anything to change that. He's just checking that now, but he knows that he'll need the green come what may.
$16. $17.
Well, that looks like he got a good angle to get somewhere near the green, or you can either go into it. I suppose you could play him behind it, but might be favourite to try and nudge it into open play here. If he was to play that, I think he'd go played off 2 cushions perhaps. So he came in at the green from the right hand cushion. What he's done.
26.
Not bad, in fact. He's got the little bit of help that the brown and blue are not easy to pot should he miss this. If he's going to go for it, it's a bit like the ball he missed in the first frame. He's as well to drop it in, or try to.
Yeah, well done. So 2 snookers needed now.
29.
27 the lead with 22 on. It's been hard work this frame, 35 minutes. Oh no, it's not the blue in.
What
Cut Maflin,
is he doing?
29.
Do you know, I thought of that.
Mathew
As he was
Selt.
going to play it, I thought, maybe they knock the blue in here.
That's incredible because it was 2 snookers needed, but with those 5 points, Selt can now tie.
That is unbelievable. I mean, the blue is near the pocket. He should have thought of it. That's a dreadful mistake to make.
What a turnaround then. Mathew Selt can force a respot.
4.
I know, and things like this are quite important, aren't they, in the context of a match? Winning frames like this. And if you lose them, he's sort of a little bit lower in the chair than he would normally sit at the moment.
9.
Wow. That is unbelievable. I haven't seen anything like that for a while. It was obvious that he could do it. I think he just decelerated on the ball.
So Mathew Selt needs this black and it's a respot finish to this 3rd frame. Quite incredible. Well, Kurt Maflin had the frame 1. He's going to have to win it all again when the black comes back on. Quite amazing. You can just see body language tells its own story.
Mathew, would you call, please? It's ahead. Your choice.
Here it is again. Catastrophe.
Well, it's a complete aberration, isn't it? This would be a bad frame to lose now. one of those. It's obviously cue ball is lower than the object ball. Means the double could be on. Played it quite well. It's not a particularly nice shot that he's left Kurt Maflin here. Got to watch out for the double kisser and all of that. He was on the walk there, he knew he'd missed it. But this is by no means easy after what has happened. In fact, I don't even think he'll attempt it. I thought it was going to be a cuttable shot, but probably not now. I don't know if he's got the chance to play the black to the right middle. Seems to be a shot that players don't play anymore, but cocked hat to the right middle perhaps, but tense. This is very tense. Only frame 3.
Well, as I say, Maflin had it won. If he loses it now, you know, it's going to be hard to just recover from it. Remember years ago at the Crucible, first round, Jamie Burnett just needed the brown to beat Terry Griffiths in their decider. And screwed back for the blue and screwed into the middle pocket. Terry cleared up to win 10-9 on the black.
yeah, that was a very significant mistake at the time, wasn't it? Different sort of mistake, but both avoidable, I think. Right, we may have a go at this one, and we could really do this going in. And of course, the worst thing about these, if you get so close to these without them dropping, they can stay over the pocket.
Well, and it goes to his great relief. To his great relief after what happened, knocking the blue in to give Selt the chance to set up the respot finish, which he did. But it's Kurt Maflin who knocks it in. So after all that, he has won the third frame. It's tense, isn't it, here? He leads 2-1. It could well be a very dramatic day here. This was Kurt Maflin knocking the blue in. At that stage, that meant that
Kurt Maflin,
Selt could force a respot, which he did. Had a go at it there. Eventually, Maflin knocks it in. A good pot, Neil, in the end, because he must have been feeling it.
Yeah, I think in the end, the one that Maflin got was the equivalent of the one that Selt had missed.
So it's 2-1 to Maflin. Remember, it's 9 frames in the first session. We're now best in 19. So 9 frames, and then back tonight for a possible 10 to decide who goes into the main draw for the televised, well, not the this is television, the final stages of the World Championship.
Got a question from Willie Williams asking the respotted black, the cushion-to-cushion shot, who invented it? Well, I'll tell you what, whoever it was, I'd like to get hold of them, because I think it's a horrible shot, that one they play, cushion-to-cushion. I know it's the right shot, but I wish whoever decided that was the shot to play, I wish they hadn't done. I just like the up and down the spots. The other question someone asked me is that what is the average age of the last 32? And according to the Almanac, 1978 average age 38 years 291 days. It's all in there. Might be helped by the fact the oldest was a 64-year-old. So the average age 38 years 291 days. Was the oldest ever player there was 70 in 84. Fred Davis. I've got to look at that one.
Yeah, anything you can think of. Chris Downer's Almanac has it, and there's lots of things you won't have thought of. It's also in there. It is an extraordinary publication. Thanks as ever to Chris for sending our copies.
The other thing about 78, while we just wait for the play to resume, is that The youngest player in 78 was the oldest they'd ever been. For 24 years, 56 days was the youngest player, and that is a record.
Game 4, Kurt Maflin to book.
So Kurt Maflin to break in frame 4. Lost the 4. Lost the first frame on the black. Could have lost that third frame on the respot, but was delighted to knock it in. There'll be an interval after this frame. Just to update you on a couple of other scores. And Scott Donaldson at 2-2. Alan McManus 3-1 up on Louis Heathcote. Selt lines this one up. And struck it well.
1.
Yeah, Ashley Carty and Robert Milkins. Looks like about to go 2 each. Noppen Tenkarm 3-0, although not far from 3-1 against Ed and Sharaf. Alex Urson back at 3-1 over Andrew Higginson. Martin O'Donnell 3-1 over Elliot Slesser. And Fergal O'Brien 1 each with Liang Wenbo. They're the latest scores. Well, Selt, he had the unexpected bonus there of being able to win that frame without snookers, but that's gone now. I think they both would like to up their games here, and that may well happen. As I say, it's a little bit different, the longer match, and more time to get going.
Six.
I think he needs this frame, Selt. It's early in the match, but I just feel that he needs this frame. The way that the first part of this match has gone. He couldn't get the cannon, he'd be annoyed. I thought it didn't look straight enough to get the cannon. It looked like he might go into the black first. So I think you've got to hit it a bit slower to try and get the bite. And not go down towards the black first.
Mathew Selt, 7.
There's the Eurosport player table. Liang Wenbo edging in front against Fergal O'Brien 2-1. Bit of a contrast in personalities. Fergal is very composed and calm and sober, and Liang is of course quite excitable. Very entertaining player to watch actually, Liang Wenbo.
Yes, of course, in the qualifiers a couple of years ago, Wenbo nearly made 2 147s in the same session, didn't he? He missed the final black to get 2 in a row. Not in successive frames, but in the same, certainly in the same match, and I think in the same evening session.
I think it was 2 frames later actually, so
yeah.
It was
incredible. Didn't happen, but tell you what, that'd have been a feat if he could have just played that one more ball. I think he'd end up losing 10-0 that year in the qualifiers, didn't he? A couple of matches later, or the next match. Shows you what a strange game it is.
Point.
Well, none of the players really got into their full stride yet, and you wonder if it might not happen all day. Someone's going to have to win it, but it's going to have to be a question of being patient, waiting for chances. playing at the top of your game, it just might be a little bit too much to ask of anybody. There's so much up for grabs. It's just a question of winning.
And a question here from Hayden.
Maflin,
Says, how do you think the great Joe Davis would fare against these modern players? Would he even make it through qualifying? Well, it's impossible to say, isn't it? Because you can't compare that era with this one. But one thing we can say is, without him, this tournament may never have happened. He was not only the first winner, he effectively promoted the first World Championship. Of course, won it 15 times in a row, bought the trophy that is still presented to this day. And he, of course, didn't have anyone to learn from, did he? All the players that have come since him have looked up to the likes of him, and then Reardon and Davis and Hendry, etc. He was sort of on his own.
I'd answer that question by saying, if you put him in playing in the qualifiers now with these lighter balls, fast cloths, he would probably lose. But if you want to take the other players from this modern day back to the old conditions, heavy cloths, balls that like cannonballs, he'd beat them. Because conditions have totally changed, haven't they, in snooker?
Yeah.
Certainly one would have to get used to conditions, whether it be him or somebody modern day, that were alien to them.
Yeah, 1934, the championship was just two players, it was him and a challenger, and he lived in the East Midlands. The final stages were, I think, Kettering Way, Cambridge Way, and he didn't drive, but there was a rail strike, so he had no way of getting there. But times were different in the 30s. He went and bought a car, and the guy who sold him the car told him how to drive it, got in, set off for the match, and won the tournament. Different times, Neil.
There's still only one way to get here, though, Dave, and that's on the bus. So not really that much different.
Very true. Yeah, let's hope the driver doesn't go on strike here, otherwise we're all scuppered.
One. Five. Six.
Well, it's a good opportunity, this. It's a little bit tightly grouped for the moment.
Twelve. 13. 20.
A little bit awkward there. He's finished in between again. No real fluency in this match yet. Still got a shot at this red, of course. Can hold for the black as well in the same pocket.
21.
Played in this round last year, lost 10-2 to Graham Dott, who's probably the play you don't want to play in the World Qualifying. It's such a great record of getting through. The actual head tear between Selt and Maflin does favour Selt 2-1, but low-key matches really, early rounds of PTCs and the International Championship, nothing like this.
Well, handy just to drift down onto that bed up the table.
It's
a good shot, that is. Played off 2 cushions on the black nicely. There's just the one red sticking out here that he can land on. A bit straight on the green, I think, to get on behind it. Getting behind it. Played into them, quite a big target. Deserves to be on something. That's a great shot. It was well played, calculated shot, and the pace was delightful.
Looks like a frame winner, doesn't it, that shot? It's already got a good lead. So it's not been the most fluent of snooker, but Maflin with a great chance to get himself 2-1 in front, and he has made the 2 half centuries in the session. Mathew Selt, of course, won the first frame on the black. There was that respot drama in frame 3, but Maflin, just glancing at the scores, just needs this red.
58.
Still 5 frames to come in the second half of the session, so Mathew Selt could still be in front, but of course the danger for him is if Maflin starts to just pull away, it's going to make it difficult tonight. But a long, long way to go. And they're still going in.
Yes, he's been the better player. He deserves his lead. The third frame could have gone very differently to the way it did. The respot and the mistake he made, but other than that, he scored much more heavily. Selt's been struggling.
So the break ends at 78, the highest by some distance of this match so far, and it gives Kurt Maflin the advantage by 2 frames at the mid-session interval. Remember, it's now first to 10 to qualify for the Crucible and the final stages of this World Championship, and it's Kurt Maflin with the early advantage. He leads by 3 frames to 1. On the black, There was that dramatic third frame that went down to a respot. But made a good 78 in the fourth, so he holds the early advantage. Remember, a long way to go. It's first to 10 now to qualify for the final stages of the World Championship at the Crucible Theatre here in Sheffield, which start on Friday.
3 and 5. Mathew Selt to beat.
So 5 more frames to be played, a possible 10 this evening. Mathew Selt could still be in front coming back tonight. All signs are, though, it's going to be a close affair, this. But the only real scoring that's been done so far has been by Maflin. He's had breaks of 58-78. Mathew Selt's highest break so far, 43.
Yes, I think that was right at the start of the match, that 43, wasn't it? Almost his first shot. And since then he's been very subdued. Just on the subject of the almanac, Ian McCulloch, the former snooker professional, who's made the most appearances at the Crucible without winning, jointly held by Cliff Wilson and Rex Williams with 8. Of course, Ian doesn't figure anywhere near that because he was a semi-finalist in 05. Hope you're well, Ian.
He was very unlucky, wasn't he, because Sean Murphy won it that year, and although he wasn't top 16 player, he took the seeding because world champions automatically, so Ian was 16th and he pushed him out. Alan McManus going well in his match, 4-1 against Louis Heathcote. So a chance to build up a big lead there, coming back tonight with all his experience. He didn't seem that impressed with his performance against Wu Yize, but he's got so many wiles, hasn't he? So much knowledge and tablecraft, Alan. And he's against a young rookie who's trying to get there for the first time.
Yeah, I want to know about that match. Incidentally, Ersenbecker 3, Higginson 2 is the scoreline. Is that, during all the problems we've had recently, when Alan was able to practice, he was getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning to put some hours in. A lot of the time when we were working from homes on the Tour Championship. So he was getting out early for a couple of hours before he sat down and worked on that event. It's very professional. Always has been.
Yes, of course, it's only 4 years since he was in that semi-final. Meantime, this is a re-rack. That was going nowhere. Balls, red balls down in bulk, so we set them up again. Leo Scullion will do that for us. Just have a chance to look at some of the scores. Ashley Carty, another would-be debutant, 3-2 up on Robert Milkins, the man who knocked out Jimmy White in the last round. Ashley Hamilton and Scott Donaldson 2-2. Noppen Sinkarm 3-1 up on Ed and Sharaf. Martin O'Donnell 3-2 up on Elliot Slesser. 3-1 Liang Wenbo against Fergal O'Brien. That's live on the Eurosport Player. So some tight contests, and you can guarantee tonight there's going to be some excitement and some drama. So for the second time, Mathew Selt to break in frame 5, trailing 3-1. Players back after the interval. This frame already re-racked. Of course, Mathew Selt shares the record with Chris Wakelin for the latest ever re-rack in a match. It was on pink and black, believe it or not, in an event in China. And the pink and the black sort of got wedged in the pocket. Just kept flicking off the pink, and they set them up again. A lot of effort, only to start the frame again.
1.
That's a good pot, and also finishing low on the black gives you an opportunity to go into them, although forcing these, I always felt that you could miss the pot playing them a cut back with pace into the bunch. It looks like he's going to play away from the bunch down the loose red. Can't blame him. Might be better to play off the blue into them.
8. Nine.
And he'll do that, no doubt, after the green here, playing on that loose red at the top. He's probably got too much angle to play off the blue into them. He might even play here into the bunch at pace. Take a chance.
13.
Unusual shot, that. You've got to get onto a colour next, which is quite difficult to do. Not sure. Think of too many other players that would have played there. They'd have tried to get an angle on a colour to go into them that way, because it's a bit speculative to think that you're going to pot a red, go through the bunch. Any pink or black you can really land on. So a bit of guesswork there. Very different shot. One he might not play if he had the same situation again.
Cut Maflin, 40.
World Championship with the longer matches. Yes, they're matches, but it's also about the sessions, the mini sessions. He's trying to win each one. He's won the first mini session. If he can win this one, it's a good lead coming back tonight. Well, not the easiest way of getting up the table here. He doesn't want to leave long reds. At the moment, Selt's not potting long balls, but you can't assume that your opponent is not going to start doing so. Putting it up in that corner is okay, as long as the cue doesn't go in the corner pocket. That's no good at all.
Mathew Selt, 4.
Now, you can choose your angle on the long red, where you put it in bulk. the D.
One.
Good shot. Brown away from his spot, up and down from the blue is easy. Oh, that's a terrible shot to hit the yellow when there's such a huge gap.
6.
It's on the, I think he decelerated on it.
Seven.
Nice recovery.
Well, his pot success coming to the table in this visit was down at 73%. So, you know, he's made mistakes today, but that's the good thing about the longer matches. There's time for him to recover, to find his rhythm, maybe just put a few frames together. Ice break still only 43. That needs to go up. Oh dear, that doesn't help. That does not help.
7.
That was a sitter, wasn't it? He's not right. He's not playing well. And you're right, Dave. You have got time to get back into it, but from 3-1 down, you know, this session could really slip away from him.
Well, that's not a good sign, missing that pink.
1.
There it is. I don't know how he missed it really. It was different if you're doing something with the cue ball, but he wasn't doing anything there except for just trying to pot it. Hard to get generate the pace on the cue ball to get the bunch open there, playing the pink.
Maflin, 7. Scullion, referee, who officiated last year's World Championship final.
Yeah, I was talking today to the person who's going to referee the World Final this year, but it's not been announced yet, so I'm not going to say who it is, but they're very excited. Be announced this week, I think.
Most things are going wrong at the moment for Mathew Selt. Struggling.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, the interval helps just to get out of there if you're trailing, but, you feel like we haven't had one, really. It's kind of the same as it was before for him. If anything, it's got a bit worse.
1.
Yeah, Maflin is playing okay. I've seen him play better, but he just, at the moment, has the edge. Bit some more.
7.
I guess focus would be the right word. I know it's an often used word, but he looks as he's up for the job. He's starting to score. He's starting to settle into his best. But like you say, Selt, if anything, has played worse since the resumption.
Yeah, I mean, even the frame he won, the pink was over in the jaws. It was unmissable. The black, I suppose, was missable, but relatively straightforward for him. So that was a little bit of a fall over the line job in that frame.
14.
Alex Urson back in now, 4-2 up on Andrew Higginson, so the Swiss going really well. As Maflin goes into them, but he's just stuck on a red here. So that's end of break.
21.
Not actually touching, it would seem.
Maflin, 21.
Well, he's overhit it slightly, so the aim would have been to get that cure run underneath the bolt cushion. But the problem he's got, Mathew Selt, he's obliged to go for one of these two long reds, but not sensing that he's feeling confident enough to get it. So that could easily change. Nowhere near. To the point I'm making, you find yourself in a position where you can't refuse shots. You also don't particularly want to play them. What do? You have to almost pretend that you're feeling confident when you're not, and he clearly is struggling.
One.
Well, Maflin been given a lot of chances here, and he's in again. Pink put him 37 in front. Good chance for 4-1, and a good chance, therefore, to open a sizable advantage in this first session. Selt is clearly struggling badly. At the moment, it feels like he's there for the taking, so Maflin will feel this is a chance to obviously not win the match, but certainly put himself in a very healthy position when they come back at 7 o'clock tonight.
Eight. $50. 60.
Black, and it's one snooker needed.
Yeah, I think he's just growing in a bit of confidence.
$23. 24. 29. 30.
Well, Mathew Selt's got to dig deep. He's got a lot of experience. He's qualified twice for the Crucible, but right now he's struggling badly. Kurt Maflin's taking advantage.
36.
Won this frame comfortably.
Kurt Maflin, 36.
So pressure on Selt. There's 4 frames left. He could still be in front, but right now he just needs to try and get some table time and try and play his way back into this match, because it's starting to look like one-way traffic. Long way to go though, but it's Kurt Maflin clearly feeling the happier of the two right now. He's leading Mathew Selt in Sheffield by 4 frames to 1. Of course, we're all back tonight at 7 o'clock for the final session. Mathew Selt, though, knows that he could be coming back quite a way behind if things carry on like this. It's not been the afternoon he was hoping for so far. There is still time for it to turn round. He's got to try and get himself together, though, use some of that natural positivity that he has and try and just focus and not make elementary errors, I guess. I mean, he missed a pink in that last frame, which really seemed unmissable for him.
Yeah, and obviously missing that red to the left corner we saw there has made, I think, Maflin feel even better about things, and he just is starting to feel like the player that everyone rates so highly. Selt, don't know, he's just struggling, but like you say, these are 4 very important frames. He's got to get at least 2 of them. He's got to get himself back into the game. Probably win 3 would be a real aim, but otherwise he'll be falling too far behind in the 2-session match. So sometimes when you're struggling, I guess it's the same at the Crucible over the 17 days. I mean, no one ever played well every day. Even the great champions, the great Hendry years, he must have had the odd session where he just got through them and survived to play better in the next session.
Well, there's still 4 frames left in this session. It's Kurt Maflin leading 4-1. We saw pictures of the Crucible before the frame, and of course work's already going on inside the arena there, putting the tables in. There's going to be extra screens and protocols, of course, for the limited audience that are going to be allowed through the doors.
No,
not getting any better for Matt. It's worth saying, though, you know, a lot of work's gone on to get this tournament on, these qualifiers, the final stages, all the officials and people who work for World Snooker Tour and all the subsidiary companies, you know, the table fitters and so on, the media, broadcasters.
Just to double check it.
So fair play to everybody for getting the event on. Meantime, they've got to get this cue ball into position. Jan Verhaas is our marker. Done many world finals himself, of course.
What's happening here?
Some movement in the background, just annoying Selt.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it is because there's no one in here but the people that need to be in it. I think Mathew Selt is not a happy man out there. I think when Leo Scullion asked him where the balls were, I don't know what he said, but he didn't give him back anything positive, I don't think. He's struggling, and there's plenty of ways to deal with it. Maybe he'll just click into gear, but he doesn't look particularly happy. Won't be any happier if the opponent ends up on the black there. Not sure quite he's gone far enough. So he's escaped one there, Mathew Selt. Maflin not on a colour. And what he's got to do, Maflin has got to keep Selt at long range. Shot like that, at the moment, Selt needs a good chance, I think, to score. I don't think he's going to create much, but things can change. That's how it appears at the moment.
That's heading towards the pink.
Well, we miss. Got Maflin, 6.
Yeah, it's not going well. Got down very quickly, didn't really spend a long time sizing that shot up.
Going to check it again? Sure.
You can do, it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is, Jan Verhaas. And
Slightly that way.
just trying to find out exactly where the balls were. Jan Verhaas has got the ability to see the previous shot. Hit the pink last time, can't get any nearer to the green. And if he hits the pink this time, then the shot's not on, basically.
Far and miss. Cut Maflin, 4.
It goes back. I don't think he can see a red full ball.
Yeah.
Could be a hit and hope coming, so I'm not sure if he's that sort of a player, but the trouble is, if you go that way, you've got to avoid the pink. I don't know if that shot's on, you know.
Maflin, 6.
And I think at some point it could be a blur and reds all over the table. If I was out there, I think I'd have already done it, because it's a very frustrating game, and Selt is frustrated. He can't seem to get the angle that way. Now it's going the other way.
16 points he's given away already.
He's not hit the pink. Now it's just going to make sure he didn't slide off and leave the red on. That's what I think the reason he never wanted to go that way.
Yeah, it's just getting worse, isn't it, for Selt? Well, in fact, he can't quite see the bottom red.
No, I don't think he has left one, but he was very quick to have a look along the line of the shot.
Well, yeah, the body language from Selt, I thought he could see it, but he's got away with it.
Fine.
And that was a handy kiss. Looks like he's going and trying to go into the bunch here at pace. I think he's on one. It's all of it forceful, nothing really opened up as he expected it to do. He's on that red, but it's not an angle that's easy to get onto the black. I think naturally, in potting the red, he might go into the black. It's hard to think how he could pot this red and be on a colour. There might be a way he can get on the black, but it just looks like he's going to go into the black.
No.
That's kind of how it worked out, really.
Well, he'll be aware, of course, that Selt is struggling and just wants to sort of keep his foot on his throat. Doesn't want to hand easy chances. So even though it's in the break, he's got to, as I say, just keep that door shut for now on this man.
Playing safe there.
Maflin, no.
Yeah, he's lucky actually he caught the pink there, because otherwise he would have left that red onto the right corner. Yeah, it wasn't the best safety from Maflin, but actually he got away with it. £7 remember tonight, this first day. Our final qualifying round concludes. We'll have this match to a finish. And on the player, it's Fergal O'Brien, Liang Wenbo. It's 3-1 there to Liang Wenbo currently. %, on long potting Selt today. I'm taking this one on though. Now where's it going to finish?
I don't think it cuts back in. Looks like it's just gone beyond the pocket, isn't it? I saw one actually that, I can't think who it was earlier in the week, somebody did that. The player had a ball exactly in that position and tried to play safe and actually did go in. Which I haven't seen very often. Slightly hampered by the brown. Massive difference in pot success, Dave, isn't there? 70% Mathew Selt, 91 Maflin. That's huge turnaround.
Yes, and 70%, you know, is regarded as very low.
Very low, especially over a longish period of time. Played 5.5 frames or so now.
But Maflin, as I say, I think doing the right thing is making sure he's not offering up easy chances. That's what Selt needs right now. He needs to be sort of put in with the balls lying nicely. His average shot time 28 seconds. Maflin was at 24. (5-2) now, Ersenbacher against Andrew Higginson, so the Swiss halfway towards a place at the Crucible.
That shouldn't have gone down the table. So that's a mistake for Maflin, and this is where Mathew Selt has to start to get himself into this match and get switched on.
One.
Good shot that, nicely on the black. Now he's got to just get himself out of his slumber here and start playing, get a bit of rhythm in his game. Oh, that won't please him. Played the cannon there. It was all his eggs in one basket playing that shot. Yeah, the argument he could have played on the red, I suppose, although I don't know how easy they're running down the cushions, but you play the cannon, you miss it, then you haven't really got much up your sleeve. Hey.
Mathew Selt.
The only hope is that he's covered it with the green, but the frustration continues. It was never in, it was always first draw. It was never going to go in.
Well, got him, nailed him behind the green. I think this is where Selt does have to use a bit of experience. Yes, he's trailing. Yes, he's not playing well, but there's still plenty of time for things to improve. He could just get a frame on the board. You know, he could still be in front at the end of this session. If this was still best of 11, you know, this would be a lot more serious.
It's a brilliant shot. That is a really good shot, because I think he had to swerve it initially into the first cushion to get make the angle wide enough. Brilliant.
There's the latest score from table 2, the Eurosport player table. Liang Wenbo 3-2 up on Fergal O'Brien. Fergal's won the 5th frame. Still battling, of course, for his tour card, Fergal. Been on the tour since 1991. But few players battle more than him.
Oh, what a shot. That was brilliant. The escape from the snooker was very good, and the pot was even better. It wasn't the most natural, just running away from the action shot there, shot to nothing. It was more, a little thicker than that.
Open Sankarm, 5-1 up on Eden Sharaf, who of course is Scottish, represents Israel, which will be another new nation at the Crucible, but he needs a comeback for that to happen. Another Scottish player, Scott Donaldson, 4-3 up on Anthony Hamilton. So a lot of people thought that could be last to finish. It could be potentially the first to finish this session. Well, Maflin knows he's on top. He's played another excellent shot there to get the Reds open. A good chance for 5-1, and Mathew Selt has got all sorts of things to think about.
Very good shot, and that's just another one in a recently long run of good shots now. You can see that his confidence is growing. He's shaking off his nerves. He's seen his opponent isn't playing at his best, and now he's starting to kick on. Just a little job holding for the next red, playing a cannon in doing so. Not much of a shot there. There's a little bit of guesswork there. They played hit the first red half, ball and beyond the other one. Not quite over the line. Probably should have done better there. But mistakes have been few and far between for Maflin in this frame. He finds himself not quite at the point where his opponent needs snookers.
Yeah, it was the shot to get on the black. There was the problem, wasn't it? Just left himself a little low on it. Even a long match early on, things can be significant. In that third frame, Maflin very nearly threw away. Knocked the blue in, which meant Selt could force a respot, which he did, but it was Maflin who potted it.
Right, Maflin, 33.
So 58 in it, still 75 on.
Yes, and playing that safety shot, pushing the red on the cushion was what he planned. Selt might try and get the same red into open play immediately though. They play the double across into the left middle. That's what he has tried. But everything he has tried today hasn't worked.
Just while this little safety exchange from Selt's perspective, catching the yellow that Amer in Pakistan asks, what's the maximum number of points accumulated by a player in a single frame? Well, that's the honour goes to Dominic Dale, and it was at the Crucible actually, 99 World Championship against Nigel Bond, 167, a lot of fouls obviously. Well, Selt made a mess of his safety, but actually he's got a chance. The black's run safe, which won't help him, but at least he's got a chance here of some sort. Yeah, 167, Dominic. In a single frame.
One.
Oh, look at that, experience telling against youth. Alan McManus 6-1 up against Louis Heathcote out on table 7. So just 4 frames away from the Crucible. Would be McManus's 21st appearance there, first since he got to the semis though in 2016. Ashley Carty trying to get there conversely for the first time. He leads Robert Milkins 5-3, so guaranteed either a 5-4 or a 6-3 lead at the halfway phase.
Well, this is the kind of frame he really could do with just pulling out of the fire to get somehow back into the match. But like you say, with the black going safe, it's going to be hard to do. And he's overhit that a little bit. Well, he may have played up on the pink in the middle. If so, maybe it wasn't such a bad shot after all. Unusual way of playing it.
Mathew Selt
Stretching a little bit. Not happy.
Well, absolutely. I think that was apparent there, the way he flung that on the floor. So the lead is 50. This red becomes frame ball for 5-1. And that means a big 3 frames coming up in the rest of this session, because this could be a really big lead for Maflin. He's guaranteed to be in front winning this frame. Question now, what will the lead be? The way it's going, he could be, 8-1, 7-2.
I think that's right, and I think he's good sense the opportunity that now is the time to really strike and push further away.
Well, Mathew Selt has conceded, so another frame slips by as far as he's concerned, and Kurt Maflin, as I say, guaranteed to be in front coming back tonight. Question is by how many. There's still 3 frames to play. He leads 5-1. So Kurt Maflin sitting pretty at the moment in this match, 5-1 up, with 3 frames to come in this session. It's first to 10 to qualify for the final stages of the World Championship. Mathew Selt all at sea really at the moment. Can he pull himself together though for the rest of this session? It's not over yet, not close to being over, but certainly if he doesn't put frames on the board this afternoon, he's going to be really up against it coming back tonight. Another question on Twitter, what's the highest break at the Crucible that hasn't resulted in the person making the break winning the frame? Well, the almanac, there's an answer to everything. 73 is the break. It's happened twice. Jimmy White in the semis in 87 against Steve Davis, and Matthew Stevens in the semis in 2002 against Peter Ebdon. Both made a 73 break, didn't win the frame.
He'll stretch across. If it's a left-hander, it would be a lot easier from that side of the table to play the shot. Got to get the rest. Yeah, of course, the break began with a fluke, and Mathew Selt watching it going in, and yeah, thanks a lot, that's all I need. Or words to that effect. Well, that started to look a significant
48.
fluke now. Finally he misses.
Maflin 43.
By no means over. They got fairly close to it, which meant the cue ball was always going to come up and down the table to a safe area. He didn't take any time on that shot. I think Mathew Selt is... seen him happier, put it that way. Just got down and hit that one. Whatever it is that can get him playing, though, even if he gets annoyed, whatever, play shots a little quicker, something has got to give here, because he looks particularly unhappy with his game and just the way things are going. Maflin did get a nice fluke at the start of this frame, and led up into the yellow pocket. Played it with side, look, was a bit strange of the shot that he played. But anything that can get Selt playing and get him a frame on the board would be, at the moment, he doesn't look like he's at the races at all. Not played that shot too badly if the cue ball travels.
The latest score, Anthony Hamilton, Scott Donaldson 4-4. Hamilton looking to qualify for the first time in 12 years. Donaldson made his debut last year. Well, he's caught the blue full in the face, but it could have been worse for Maflin, that. Elliot Slessor's just nudged in front against Martin O'Donnell. I think that could be a close finish tonight. 4-3 Slessor. Both players trying to book their debuts.
One.
He's landed in between shots here. Oh dear.
Mathew Selt, 1.
It was awkward actually. I mean, he potted the red, he probably deserved to have a better shot than that on that colour. He was neither on the green or brown that was any good.
One.
So Maflin already in front in this frame with a chance for 6-1.
Seven. Eight.
Yes, and I think we should look at this as a chance to go even further clear this afternoon. While things are going the way they are, we really could stretch away.
Okay. 16.
Another red required. Selt clearly feels that nothing's going right for him. Everything's going against him. Maflin had the fluke. He didn't get a nice nudge on that green, which he missed.
$23.
So snooker's needed. Looks like 6-1 with 2 frames to play this afternoon.
Cool one. Top 15. Top 8. So Maflin 58 and the fifth.
So another one-sided frame, and it goes to Kurt Maflin once again. Of course, lost the opening frame on the black, but has won 6 on the spin now. Mathew Selt really frustrated with how things are going. 2 more frames to be played, but whatever happens, he's facing an uphill battle this evening. It's Kurt Maflin leading in Sheffield now by 6 frames to 1. Welcome back to the first of 2 days of final round qualifying here at the World Championship. 6-1 Kurt Maflin against Mathew Selt. Let's just go and have a look at some other tables. Alan McManus, Louis Heathcote, 6-1 to McManus, and he's in front in frame 8 as well. Alexander Ursenbacher is 6-2 up. Andrew Higginson looking good to win the last frame of the session though, just to stay in touch. Remember, all these matches first to 10. Eden Sharaf keeping cool with the aircon there. He's 5-2 down though to Noppen Senkamp. Sheriff looking to book his debut at the Crucible. Elliot Slessor, Martin O'Donnell, guaranteed a debutant here. It's 4-3 to Slessor. And this is Ashley Carty, who, in fact, he's got to the halfway stage. He's 6-3 up against Robert Milkins. Scott Donaldson and Anthony Hamilton a lot closer, 4-4. Liang Wen both 4-2 up on Fergal O'Brien. Well, Selt not enjoying this, clearly, not enjoying his performance, not enjoying the scoreline. But there's 2 frames left in the session. If he wins them, you know, he's still got a chance at 6-3 down. We've seen plenty of matches won from that position.
Yes, it's been a real nightmarish afternoon for Mathew Selt. He started brightly with a 43 break, and after that, to be honest, he sort of got over the line in frame 1 on the black, and he's not really been in the match since. And he's had a few chances. It's been a combination of a number of things. I think Maflin's got better. Selt has struggled all afternoon, and when things have, he has had a chance, the balls have gone a little awkwardly. So it's a horrible sort of a session which you get every now and then. He has to win the last 2 frames, or else I don't see how he can come back into this match.
Frame 8. Kurt Maflin to beat.
Maflin leads 6-1. He needs 4 for victory. 2 left in this session.
One.
Well, he saw Selt's reaction again back in his seat. He knew he'd left a chance at that red.
Well, the bottom red goes, he's on it to a fashion, quite far enough. So he can reach across and cut it in.
Well, that's what Selt needs. He needs Maflin to start missing.
1.
Yeah, got nowhere near the pot, did he?
No, then of course you get the
Mathew Selt
cannon,
won.
you get the collision into the bunch, even though you missed the pot. It wasn't an easy shot really, it was around the 2 cushions we've run inside. Continuation of bad afternoon. That's a good shot.
1. Six.
Drifted too far, that cue ball. Because if it goes any further, he's on the other red, the one above the black. So it's the one place, that little area is no good to him.
Got Maflin 6.
No, I don't think he's left anything. Actually, I think we'll try and get the cue ball in behind the blue here, push the red up the table.
Got to still fight for this and believe that he can win. We've seen matches won from all sorts of positions. These 2 frames clearly very important to Mathew Selt. Probably will have to win them both.
There's no fun queuing over the top of the blue like that. Point where he's playing as if snookered. No, not even close. Not even close. Getting set up quite a lot, Maflin.
Some backers 6-3 up against Higginson, so Higginson did win the last frame of that session.
1.
Ashley Carty also 6-3 up against Milkins. They're the only 2 to reach the halfway stage. Right now you can see McManus there. Alan McManus 6-2 over Louis Heathcote. Noppen Senkam also 6-2 over Eden Sharaf.
9.
Stayed down. He wasn't sure that it was in, but now it's become a good chance. Spinning off the left jaw as we watch this. Sometimes it's difficult when you're playing an opponent who's struggling like this. You can get dragged down a little bit.
16.
In the case of Maflin, though, he's played okay in the second half. The early frames he was a bit shaky himself. And he's still not as well as he can play, but he's still applying himself nicely. Especially just getting to 10 frames, doesn't matter how long it takes.
Yeah, that respot frame 3 was big, wasn't it? Because it shouldn't have been a respot. And had he lost that, you never know. That could have, done for his early chances in this match. But he won it and has moved on since then.
Yeah, it was a big frame because he made a terrible mistake actually in making the foul, knocking the blue in. But, that allowed Selt to tie the frame. Since then, it's been extremely one-sided. In the Selt pot success, 65%. That is, at this level, very, very low. And Maflin is okay on 90%. A bit more you'd expect.
Two. $33.
Well, executed the plant nicely. Just left this black a little awkward.
Played it well though.
Yeah.
For 2 reds.
Yeah, and, sorry, no, I was just going to say, that's more awkward when you're 6-1 down, isn't it? He's 6-1 up. He's clearly playing by far the better of the two. He's found his touch. Mathew Selt has gone walkabout, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I thought this would be a pretty close match. I must say, it's one that you couldn't be sure who'd win, but it's been incredibly one-sided.
He's out of 9 with the rest, as you see. 9 out of 10 now.
41. $48. $49.
So getting closer. He needs another red after this black, and it's looking like 7-1, and it's looking like close to mission impossible for Mathew Selt. Scoreline's bad enough. His performance, though, has got to dramatically improve, and he would, I think, have to rely on Kurt Maflin falling apart later this evening.
56.
As Liang Wenbo goes 5-2 up on Fergal O'Brien. But this red is for 7-1.
57.
And you have to say that's an accurate reflection of the match, really.
I would agree. Yeah, it's been just the longer it's gone on, the more one-sided it's become. Not just because of the frames, it's just the way the frames have been won. Almost got the ball, and Mathew Selt now can hardly pull a ball. Come into this match with all the
61.
hope and expectation. And as I said, it looked a tight one on paper. I think Maflin was a minor favourite,
62.
but it's been a runaway so far.
One more frame to come this afternoon, whatever happens. Mathew Selt is bang in trouble here. Breaker 62 from Kurt Maflin, his third off
62.
century of the afternoon.
And the frame.
And Mathew Selt remains in his seat, so I think a surprise scoreline, really. I think a lot of people thought, as Neil said, this might be a close match. It isn't at the moment. It's one-way traffic. Kurt Maflin has won 7 in a row. He leads 7-1 with 1 to play.
Mathew Selt, 40.
So Matt Selt 7-1 down to Kurt Maflin. There's been a few too many errors from Selt, a few misses and mistakes that have obviously contributed. These are shots he won't want to be thinking too much about. Particularly this one, that miscue came out of nowhere. It's all contributed. Of course, Maflin's good play as well has contributed to the scoreline. 7-1, one more frame to play. Whatever happens, Selt's in trouble. Just wanted to answer one tweet. There was a rules query from Chris Williams, who's taken the time to contact us. He said if a player is snookered on all colours, then hits his or her nominated colour, but the cue ball goes in off, can the opposing player have the balls put back? Well, I guess not, because it's not a miss, is it? It would be ball in hand, ball in the D, but not actually a miss if they hit it. Caught that ultra thin, but looks like he's basically got away with it. Or maybe not. It's a good pop from Selt if the cue ball holds up.
Yeah, but it keeps landing there, doesn't it? It's about twice, 2 or 3 times it's done that now.
Just needed it to stop.
Or if anything, just go a little bit further so you can pop the brown in the middle. So you're going to go for the brown. It's quite thin. See, the line of the cue is sort of behind the bolt line. It's in.
Well, I guess, and they're all ifs, of course, but if he could win the frame and win it well, then at least he's got something to cheer about coming back tonight. Not a lot of good news in this session for him.
Six.
Well, he's got a loose red here at the bottom of the bunch, because he could have played the brown into the pack of reds, but everything he's tried like that's gone wrong.
Okay.
Well, that's better. And the red to the middle.
18.
Wow. He didn't think that was in. I must admit, I wasn't all that sure either. It did find a way of going in off the near jaw. I think he was on the walk back to his chair for a split second.
Yeah, this, I wasn't sure myself. A bit jawish, wasn't it?
Only a bit. It was me. So now it did drop in, actually.
Well, he's still going, and as I say, you know, if say he made a century here, at least it's something to cling on to coming back this evening.
25.
Up in Senghama's finished his first session, finished it well, 7-2 up on Ed and Sharaf. Alan McManus 6-3 on Louis Heathcote. Heathcote's won the last frame of the session there. So some players coming back with good leads, but of course it's all about this evening. And I guess the real pressure comes on.
42.
And again, he's been left with one of these just slightly ticklish ones, considering what's happened. Yeah, and it's not in.
Mathew Selt, 52.
Yeah, draw, wasn't it? Same as the one on the other side, but this time it didn't drop.
Five-3 Slessor against O'Donnell, so Slessor's going to be in front halfway. Anthony Hamilton just won the last frame against Scott Donaldson, so 5-4 to the Sheriff.
No good in the jaw like that. It's a bad shot, much too thin. He's barely played a good shot today, you know.
I don't think any comment is needed there, is it? You can see how he feels about it all.
1.
Kurt Maflin doesn't care, quite rightly. It's about what he's doing, and this might be the sickner of all sickners if he wins this frame now, because Selt at least got in front with a chance.
Seven. 8. 15. 16.
Well, 8-1, if it went that way, really would be absolutely curtains for me. I couldn't imagine a comeback from here. 7-2, there's always just a glimmer. It is only a glimmer. Red to the middle goes. Everything goes, it seems.
$24. $40. 41.
They've got a few in front, and you can extend that by something about 28, 29 points if you take 3 reds and blacks. So you'll need another red and a high value colour.
38.
Probably won't need both of the safer looking red, although the red just below his cue ball is hardly safe where it is.
$46.
Struck that well.
53.
Fourth half century afternoon for Maflin.
54.
This would really sort of round off the misery though, wouldn't it, for Selt if he were to win this one as well.
It certainly would. Red-black will be enough.
$62.
He's taken these nicely. Selt missing that red to the right middle. It's been a bit of a landslide this afternoon in the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone expected this scoreline.
69.
But the fact is that after winning the first frame on the black, Mathew Selt has really struggled badly, and we've seen his body language. He's not enjoyed it at all. Already needs one snooker. And that red going in guarantees an 8-1 lead for Kurt Maflin, so he's going to be 2 frames away from only a second appearance at the Crucible. He played there 2015, drew the defending champ Mark Selby on day 1, took him to a decider.
Well, I think you might as well put him in that now, I should think. 8-1.
76.
Don't see any way back from this sort of scoreline.
$78.
Well, I was saying that, you know, if Selt could finish with a century, maybe that would make him feel good. In fact, Maflin's got a great chance to do that now himself. And Selt's just had to sit there and watch it.
51. $85.
Yes, I mean, he's a very good player. He's highly rated by his fellow professionals. Probably a chance that could have a good championship. You know, no one's going to particularly want to play someone who's just coming into a form like this. Like you say, he's played there before, took the defending champion very close. And he'll be thoroughly pleased with this performance. Excellent stuff from Kurt Maflin.
It really was a clearance in the last frame of 103, so he lost the opener on the black, but he won 8 on the spin. And he needs just 2 more frames to put himself into the Crucible draw. Mathew Selt has a lot to think about. It's been a very disappointing afternoon. It's Kurt Maflin leading at the halfway stage. 8-1. Well, they'll have a couple of hours before the resumption, which is at 7 o'clock this evening UK time. These are then the match stats so far. Highest break just 43 and for Mathew Selt. His pot success just under 70% it works out at. Maflin around about 92%. So yeah, an afternoon to forget really for Selt, and Maflin finishing off in style with 103 clearance. Now then, these are the other scores so far. Matches at the halfway stage. Alexander Ursenbacher leading Andrew Higginson 6-3, Noppen Senkarm 7-2 on Eden Sharaf, Anthony Hamilton 5-4 on Scott Donaldson, Al McManus 6-3 over Louis Heathcote, Ashley Carty 6-3 over Robert Milkins. A couple of matches still on there. Fergal O'Brien on the Eurosport Player 5-2 down now to Liang Wenbo, and Elliot Slesser 5-3 up on Martin O'Donnell. Remember, all these matches resume at 7 o'clock. But it's been one-way traffic here, hasn't it? And Kurt Maflin will be feeling great right now. He's got a couple of hours and he'll be back looking to kill it off, put himself into the Crucible draw to take on one of the top 16 seeds. You can see how he gets on at 7. Joe Johnson and Philip Stubb will be here then. But for now, from us all, it's goodbye.
For Mathew, Maflin rock solid and took the next 8 frames on the bounce. So a Herculean task for the man in your picture to turn things around this evening. 10, of course, is the target. The first 3 qualifying rounds played over the best of 11 frames. The final round over the more traditional best of 19, but it's still going to be a very tall order for Selt to turn this around. We'll bring you every ball, and we might well be picking up the live action over on the Eurosport Player at some stage on table 2, which is rather closer. Liang Wenbo, the former English Open champion, against the former Masters finalist Fergal O'Brien. Just a frame between them, as you can see. Elliot Slessor and Martin O'Donnell, 2 players bidding to make the Crucible for the first time. Well, Slessor at the moment has the edge over the man they call the Minister of Defence, 6-3. Alex Ursenbacher looking to become the first ever Swiss player to play at snooker's most famous venue. He leads Andrew Higginson, former ranking finalist, 6-3. Noppon Sandkamp's having a great tournament, 7-2 up on Eden Sharaff. Anthony Hamilton is playing Scott Donaldson, just a frame between them. Alan McManus, 3 times a semi-finalist, 6-3 up on the man who knocked out Ali Carter so impressively, Louis Heathcote of Leicester. And Ashley Carty has the advantage over Rob Milkins, who's twice beaten Neil Robertson at the Crucible. So a lot of snooker to look forward to this evening. Initially, at least, our focus will be on the second session of what is so far a rather lopsided encounter. Kurt Maflin has played very well. Mathew Selt has had a bit of a nightmare. Well, Joe, it has been done before. This kind of deficit has been overturned, but it's pretty rare. And I guess part of the problem for Selt is to keep believing that it's a possibility.
Yeah, he's got to remember that the last frames are always the hardest. You know, he's nothing to fear now. Everybody is expecting him to lose. But he's going to have to play well, get the rub of the green a little maybe. A little bit like that. Pushed the red over the corner and covered it. He's a good player, make no mistake about that. He lost all the close frames today, Mathew Selt.
Maflin just avoiding the pink there.
Well, it could be a re-rack this already with that red over the left corner.
Touching ball.
Well, no, touching ball call, so he could play the cue ball down by the green pocket.
Maflin made breaks of 58, 78, 62, and he finished the session with a century, 103, just to rub salt into Mathew Selt wound. And Selt could not have envisaged when he won a 31-minute opening frame on the final black that the afternoon would go so sour for him. Missed a couple of relatively routine balls, notably a pink in the 4th frame. Had a bit of ill luck as well when Maflin fluked to red early in the 7th and went on to build a lead, which he subsequently converted. So things certainly didn't go his way, but he'd be the first to admit that he had a very poor session, didn't get going at all. Actually, just before we came on air, he was having a chat with Leo Scully, and he seemed in pretty good spirits, actually, given the scoreline. And I heard him quip that he said, if we're not finished by 8 o'clock, I'll go on to win. I'm not sure if he was deadly serious, but you've got to be positive.
Yes, he also said to me, thanks for the inspiring chat this morning, Joel.
Yes, we had a chat with him at breakfast, and, well, of course, he recently won his maiden ranking title, the Indian Open, beat John Higgins along the way.
That's what I'm saying, you see. You know, he's a really good player. He needs he needs the rub of the ball, and that helps, that kind of shot. Double kiss wasn't intended. He was trying to leave that cue ball on the black cushion.
Yeah, initially expectations will be very low for Selt, but I'm not necessarily of the view that there's no pressure on him, because of course he's playing for pride as much as anything. He doesn't want an embarrassing loss. He's 8-1 down. He wants to at least make Maflin earn it.
Well, already this is a big shot. Guaranteed to be leaving a red on if he misses it, which he has done. What a tough shot that, with the cue ball being so close to the cushion.
Kind of sums up his day, doesn't it? Seeing the cue ball land there, making the black very difficult.
So, an early chance for Maflin.
One.
And what Maflin has been able to do is punish the errors of Selt pretty effectively. Made the Crucible back in 2015. And a terrific win over Joe O'Connor to set up this match with Selt. He was in trouble in that match, 5-3 down. But showed his temperament under pressure with a winning 64 break in the decider.
7.
Very capable player.
Yeah, I think he got very close to Selby, if I remember, when he qualified. I think it was 10-9. I'll have to check that one. But I seem to remember giving him a scare. That's when Selby was defending champion, wasn't it?
And he knows what it's like to be on the wrong end of a scoreline like this, because last year he played Graham Dott in the final qualifying round and lost 10-2, so the boot's on the other foot today, so far at least.
$22. 22. $41.
The third frame was a peculiar one, and so early in the match it could have proved to be something of a turning point, because down to the last 4 colours Matt Selt needed a couple of snookers, and Maflin somehow contrived in potting the brown to also pot the blue, which was very adjacent to it,
48.
close to the right centre pocket, and that meant that Selt could force a respot, which he did. And had Maflin lost that frame, well, that's the kind of frame that can cause lasting damage and have a hangover into the frames that followed. But in the event he potted that respotted black, so no damage done, he could forget about it. But it's moments like that that can be very significant in a match like this. And having got out of jail in that frame, he's never looked back.
46.
36 years of age. He's a Londoner, but based in Oslo in Norway these days. He married Anita, a Norwegian snooker player.
47.
And I think the consensus is that he could have done more than he has as a professional, but there have been moments where, through no fault of his own, his career has been hampered. That serious car accident 10 years ago when he had to have a metal plate put in his shoulder. But a very fluent break builder. Dangerous player.
Yes, absolutely. Well, meanwhile, he finished straight on, well, the wrong side of the blue. So now I've got to retrieve the situation here. Good pot. Those are always easier when you've got such a strong lead. 52 points in front. Not straightforward this. All the reds covering one another. Just having a look to see if that red will go to the right centre. It may go to the left corner. Otherwise he's going to have to give them a nudge. Yeah, he thinks it goes to the middle. 59 points the lead. That's all he needed.
61.
So it's going to be 9-1, barring miracles.
(1994), former world champion Cliff Thorburn led Nigel Bond
68.
9-2 at the Crucible and lost 10-9.
69.
Mathew Selt's going to have to produce something even more sensational.
He was faced with a very tough black. It was unfortunate that the cue ball finished right under the cushion. Mathew Selt, that is.
76.
But this has been typical of Maflin today. When Selt has erred, he's punished.
77.
Snooker was a little bit scrappy early on, but he got stronger as the session went on and things went from bad to worse for Mathew Selt. He'll be very disappointed to have played this way because remember, he was outstanding in knocking out one of the players of the tournament, Alan Taylor,
83.
who had previously won the Challenge Tour playoff to secure another 2-year card and was knocking in centuries for fun, including the tournament high 145. Selt saw him off 6-3, played very well. But today, the wheels
83.
have well and truly come off. And that break of 83 from Kurt Maflin, another clinical contribution to punish Mathew Selt's error. He left himself awkwardly, missed the black and paid the price. It's 9-1. We've just had the quickest frame of the match, 9 minutes and 49 seconds and an 83 break from
Mathew Selt.
Kurt Maflin after Mathew Selt potted a red, left himself awkwardly on the side cushion, missed a tough black. Maflin stepped in to put himself within one frame of a return to the Crucible 5 years after his debut appearance.
Yes, and not the best break-off from Mathew Selt. Choice of two reds, choosing this one to the right corner. Could have played the other, the one by the blue.
One.
Held it too well. I expected to be a little bit nearer to the black.
Achieved a career high ranking 6 years ago of 32. He's currently at 43 coming into this tournament. Of course, if he wins tonight, he's guaranteed £20,000 for getting back to the Crucible.
Yeah, much needed ranking points as well.
9.
Well, didn't judge the cannon correctly there. Lost the cue ball. Tough black, but 9-1 up. He may as well take it on. Yeah, just caught that near angle, but it was close enough to drop.
60.
And chance to get back to the black again. He has had a 147 break in tournament play. Twice, in fact. Great scorer, 176 centuries in his career.
And 3 ranking semi-finals, most recently the Riga Masters last year.
24.
Made 15 century breaks this season.
$25.
If you're looking at it positively, he's on the way up. It's more than what he made last year. His prize money is nearly double what he made last year. In fact, it will be more than double after this tournament. Now, how's your luck? Maybe on a red to the right middle. I'm not sure.
42.
He split them beautifully. Got into the reds just as he intended. And it looks like he can pot this red.
$43.
And now the writing could be on the wall.
Yes, I guess when you resume in a match like this with an 8-1 lead, you're kind of on a hiding to nothing because you're obviously expected to win, and there must be that little bit of doubt in the back of your mind that your opponent could come out flying, the pressure off, not expected to do anything, and reel off a few frames. Then suddenly, before you know who you are, perspiration is forming on your brow and you're thinking about what can go wrong rather than what can go right.
Dead right. That's what could happen. And has happened many times.
But it would appear that Maflin has other ideas. He's going for the quick kill.
Yes, it helped with that tough black that Mathew Selt played in the opening frame there this evening. Left an easy chance for Kurt. But he took them, and he took them well.
43.
Could have made his second century in this match.
$44.
Yes, it's been a very polished display, this from Maflin. Yes, his opponent has struggled, but you've still got to punish those mistakes, and, well, a day to forget for Mathew. He'll be very disappointed. He'd have had high hopes of getting back to the Crucible. He's been there a couple of times before.
He looks very solid, doesn't he, Kurt Maflin? He's one of those type of players that if he gets his head, if it's a battle in the first round at the Crucible, if he gets there, you wouldn't really want to be playing him because he's a solid player. And as I said, I think it was 10-9 against Mark Selby when Mark Selby was defending champion.
$50.
Just about. Got the right side.
Yeah,
55.
Mark Selby was 8-5 up in that match that Joe's been referencing. Taken to a decider. 2015.
56.
Well, that's a great Crucible debut, really, for him, wasn't it?
And as you say, no one of those 16 seeds is going to be looking forward to playing him, given the form he's showing here. Just a case now of applying the killing thrust.
Well, needed a bit of luck there, and he got it.
61.
He's on this red to the right corner. Although had he got a football kiss, he'd have been on the red to the middle, so it was a good shot that he
62.
played. And now, he doesn't need to give those reds a touch, but I'm pretty sure he will do.
$69. $70.
Well, he played the correct shot. He didn't give those reds a touch. He concentrated on winning the frame. But he's going to give them one now. Again, it could have been kinder, but he won't be too bothered. He knows he's going to Sheffield.
He does, and it's just a question now of whether he can add a second century of the day. What a way to go out if he can. Finishing in style, not a century,
Maflin, 77.
but what a clinical performance from Kurt Maflin that was. Breaks of 83 and 77 on the resumption, and Mathew Selt has been demolished here in the English Institute of Sport. A terrible day for him, just never found his game, but credit to Kurt Maflin, an outstanding performance. He is through in style by 10 frames to 1. Well, at least Matt can afford a little smile. I think he knew the game was up, even arriving back at the venue this evening. It was just too much to ask, really. And I'm Eurosport player and on table 2. That's a match we're going to be joining in due course. Fergal O'Brien and Liang Wenbo level at 5-all. Elliot Slesser bidding for his Crucible debut against another player hoping to do the same. Martin O'Donnell. At the moment it's Slesser in charge, leading 6-3. Alex Ursenbacher 6-4 up on Andrew Higginson. Nopon Sankan 7-2 up on Eden Sharov. Anthony Hamilton level with Scott Donaldson. That's a match that could go late into the evening. Alan McManus with a fantastic Crucible pedigree, 3 times a semi-finalist of course, leading 6-4 against Louis Heathcote, who was so impressive in beating Ali Carter. And Ashley Carty is also having a great qualifying tournament. He's leading Rob Milkins by 7 frames to 3. Right, let's hear from the man of the moment, Kurt Maflin, speaking to Joe Johnson.
Well, Kurt, well done. You're at Sheffield again. How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel really good. I mean, I played quite well today. Solid enough.
Yeah.
Matthew struggled a little bit, and I managed to just sort of pounce on him at the right time.
Yeah, well, to me, you punished at the right time as well. You potted the important balls. I mean, in that penultimate frame there, the one before the last, you missed the black under the cushion, and you knocked in an 80-odd break.
Yeah, I thought, because, you know, you never know in snooker, do you? You could all of a sudden end up at 8-5, and that's not what you want. You just want to try and get the job done quickly.
It's happened before, hasn't it?
So I was quite determined just to finish it off as quick as possible.
Yeah, well, you're back at Sheffield, and you played Mark Selby 5 years ago, 2015, and you took him to 10-9.
Yeah, I'll beat him this time.
And that's the spirit. That's what you want to hear.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking forward to get back there now. I mean, I really enjoyed it last time. Obviously, the conditions now because of COVID's going to be a bit different, but yeah, really looking forward to it now.
Yeah, absolutely, and you deserve it as well.
I put a lot of hard work in over the last 5-6 weeks, and it looks like it's paying off. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's 5 years since you were there, and every player's dream every year to play at the Crucible, and you must have been pining to get back there, and now it's happened.
Yeah, I mean, I've been quite close. Last year, I think Dot done me in the last round. Year before, it might have been Milkins. So, I really wanted to get back there this year.
Yeah, well, you've done well, and we wish you all the best. Well done.
Cheers, Joe. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
thanks.
Well done.
Yeah, we certainly do. Congratulations to Kurt Maflin. That is a convincing win, to put it mildly. 10-1 over Mathew Selt. He's very much looking forward to getting back to the Crucible 5 years after his debut, but no one, I can tell you, of the top 16 will be looking forward to playing him on that form. Mark Selby nearly caught a cold 5 years ago, and it'll be very interesting to see how Maflin goes in the first round at the Crucible this year. Congratulations to him. When we come back from the break, we'll be going over to Table 2.